Right, this is going to be the actual take now. This is like the fourth take I've done this intro. Hello, welcome back to Chatting Breeze. We have returned after a short hiatus due to many personal factors that have meant that I've been unable to produce this wonderful show. However, we have made a triumphant return this week with an incredibly insightful and enjoyable conversation with my good pal, Joe Valek. Joe is an absolute Donny whose content and sort of interviews I hugely admire. He has a sort of, as you'll see later on in the episode, he doesn't like people comparing him to this, but he has a sort of like Nardwuar-esque approach to his interviews where he'll do like big sort of deep dives and he'll do like lots of research. And they're always really sick and really interesting, and the people he interviews are always really surprised about how much he finds out about them. So we chat about his process, sort of where he's been, where he is now, and just general nonsense, really, the usual. Yeah, as I said, it's been a little while since I've done an episode, but we're back now, but there might be a little while to the next one. But yeah, anyway, enjoy. Do you do that when you're doing your interviews?
I get them to do it.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. Because I'm usually holding my book and mic. And I'm like, oh, can you just clap? And then they're holding like a drink or something. And they're like, well, all right. I get a lot of like chest slaps.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Just industry things. Sorry, just people in the beers.
Industry hacks.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Chatting Breeze. We've had a little bit of time off. Because I've been a lazy fucker, as I was just saying. But we have returned with an extra special guest who I've been meaning to ask you to come on for so long, because since I saw your Limbs interview, I was like, this guy is doing interviews the way they're supposed to be done. And I fucking love it. It's so great. We have Joe Valek in the studio, ladies and gentlemen. Is that how you pronounce the surname? Valek?
That is right, yeah. Valek, yeah.
I didn't
Joe
want to
Valek.
fuck it up.
No,
yeah.
they did not. Taylor, thank you for having me. I'll say hello to the camera. And I'll say hello to you as well. Thank you.
Hello, no worries.
Bright and early on a Saturday morning. I got you out of bed for this.
This is our first morning episode of the podcast.
Okay.
Usually they're in the evening and I'm sort of offering beers to my guests and that sort of thing. But this morning I offered you a coffee and you didn't even take it.
No, I don't really drink caffeine.
Do you not?
No, I don't.
You're one of these fucking crazy bastards.
Yeah, I got into it a bit again in like before Christmas time. But then I stopped again. I was drinking tea and then a bit of coffee, and then I started getting spots and I couldn't work out what it was. So I was like, maybe it's caffeine because that's the only thing that's changed. And then the spots went away. But I don't know if it was the caffeine or whether it was just something else unrelated.
My God.
So I'm like, yeah, I don't need it. I do love a coffee though. That's the thing.
Joe
I like
Valek,
coffee.
Man, the dermatologist.
Yeah, this is not scientifically proven.
So like I said, I saw you basically... You do interviews, right, with various artists, creatives. I wouldn't pin it down to like a certain, like I wouldn't say you just do musicians. I wouldn't say you just do, I mean, you even just do like random people. I mean, we'll get on to, I want to chat about the anime convention at some point.
Oh, yeah.
But, that will come later. But yeah, you do these interviews and you have this really interesting style. Obviously, I can tell, you know, like Nardwuar springs to mind, right? Like big time. That's a very large part of what you do in terms of you have these like informal interviews with people, and obviously you do your research like heavy.
Yeah.
I don't quite know how you find out some of the things that you find out, but yeah, it's incredible, and it's like I think it does stand. It's interesting looking at it now. If you look at the general landscape of like interviews and like music media, it has become, in my humble opinion, there's not a lot of like dynamism and there's not a lot of people doing things very differently, right? And that's why your stuff really, really stuck out to me. I mean, have you always been you've always had that sort of like journalistic sort of like brain, or?
It's a very good question. I think, I started doing radio when I was about 13 or 14, I think. I did hospital radio in Cardiff, where I'm from, in Landock Hospital. Big up Rookwood Sounds.
Bop, bop, bop.
I was the youngest person to go through the hospital broadcasting.
13, did you say?
I think 14, let's say, just to be sure. Yeah, I went through like their training, and then I started doing a show there once a week. I think it was a 2-hour show that I did once a week for I'm not really sure. I think it was about 2-3 years maybe,
Nice.
which was really good and really good experience. And in the meantime, like outside of that, I was producing music and like just mixing at home. I'd always been DJing was where all this passion started, and then came to Bristol. Well, I stopped doing the radio when I was doing my A levels, and then kind of forgot about it. And then in the second year of uni up in Bristol, there was an opportunity to get a show on 1020. I was at DBS uni, and they had a show. They were like, "Oh, we want a DBS Presents show." Like everyone applied, and I hosted the show with Joe Crocker and
Joe and Joe.
Yeah, which is cool. It was called the.
Is this the Joe to Go show?
No, this was not. This was this was DBS Presents the Sound Show with Joe Valek and Joe Crocker. And yeah, that was really good because I completely kind of forgot about radio as something I love doing, and I had never really been aware of like the underground community radio scene in Bristol or kind of anywhere really. In Cardiff, we had Radio Cardiff, and that was kind of as far as I knew about community stations. And then did that for a year, then got the Joe to Go show, and in the Joe to Go show I started doing interviews a bit more seriously. I had done them on the sound show, but they were mostly over lockdown, so a lot of them were like virtual
like
interviews,
Zoom
and with kind of people I already knew a bit, which is obviously a great place to start. And then on the Joe to Go show started taking them a little bit more seriously.
Those Zoom interviews are always so weird, aren't they? Like I've not quite done a Zoom podcast yet. I don't know if I ever want to. I think it's a different sort of dynamic, right? With the guests.
I quite like it though. It's definitely, it's a different dynamic. I feel like a lot of the time people can be a little bit more comfortable, especially in the style that I do them, where we're like usually standing up in public, maybe at their gig
about 1 a.m.
After just before their set or just after their set. People are maybe a bit on edge perhaps, but the virtual ones or the ones I've done where people are sitting down, people are usually more relaxed, but
true,
that's not necessarily what I want.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So you said you started doing some sort of radio training when you were like 13, 14. What was that like? Who else was doing that? Was it like a lot of like older people doing it? Were you like significantly the youngest? Or
I was. I think there was some people who were maybe like in their late 20s, I would say, doing it, and then maybe one or two people who were older. I'll be honest, I can't exactly remember how. I think there was like a couple, like 5 or 6 of us maybe. They would do these quite often in the station because they obviously always need volunteers to keep the station running. But the people who were training me were much older. They were maybe I dare say in their 50s. But
ancient, you could say.
But they gave me the training they were giving me was it was like almost commercial radio style. Okay. So you had to play, like the show was split up into 15-minute blocks. So you had to do like a PSA, which was a public service announcement, like half an hour into the show. And then every 15 minutes you had to play like jingles, which was from like a different decade. And then you had to play every hour, I think 1 or 2 tracks from every decade from the 50s up to the modern day.
Wow.
Because obviously at hospital station, a lot of the patients were actually older.
Oh right, so it was actually hospital radio.
Yeah.
I thought that was just like the name of the station. Wow.
No, it was in
interesting.
Landock Hospital.
Wow.
Where I was actually born as well, which is funny.
Is hospital radio still a thing now? I sort of never understood why they don't just like play normal radio in hospitals.
It's a very good question. I think a lot of the time people want the opportunity to feel like they can connect to something like that. So we'd sometimes even go around the wards and do a request show. So we'd go around and say, I'm going to be on in an hour. Have you got any requests?
With people like in their beds and like, no way.
And then they'd be like, if you just put these like horrendously uncomfortable earplugs in, you'll be able to listen to the show,
to a really tinny sounding song of your choice.
Exactly. And I didn't like doing that because I don't know, I was young and no one likes hospitals really, and it was just a bit awkward. I felt like
to random sick people.
Yeah, you're ill, but do you want to have a request on the radio? But I know a lot of the other hosts did that, like quite a lot, and I
Yeah.
think it was quite rewarding for some of the patients, especially as well actually for some of the younger patients, because they could then tune in and listen. They might have listened before and it's all like 80s music or something. They can tune in and hear like, I don't know, Taylor Swift or something.
You got any Kings of the Rollers?
Yeah. Well, the thing is though, I could play stuff like that as well, and I did do some like
Really?
kind of dance music stuff. I did a couple of like mixes on there as well, which
Nice.
like I was allowed to do as long as I still played music from the 60s.
They have that set up in the hospital radio station?
Yeah, it was like a proper studio with like a big mixing desk, and like they had it like redone when I was on the station, and it was like they had a one for recording as well, like an off-air studio, and they had a big live one with a window so you could be seen from the corridor. And
huge.
Like, yeah, it was actually really cool.
That's hospital sounds like it was a fucking like media.
Yeah,
like media hub.
It was great. It was just great learning experience, and actually I think that's why when I did my shows on 1020, Sean, who ran it, always said like you're very organized with it, and yeah, I think part of that was just because of the training I'd had and the sort of the structure that you'd have to stick to on the hospital radio. That was a lot more robust, and you had to do this, otherwise you would get in trouble. Not get in trouble, but they had to follow like Ofcom guidance a lot more
FM
closely. It wasn't, no. Well, actually, yes, it was FM, but not very wide.
Right, it's
FM.
like,
So,
very localized.
yeah, if you were like
FM radio.
driving past the hospital or you parked outside, you could get the FM, but like any more than like a mile away or less, you couldn't get it at all. So I guess technically, yes, it was FM, but great experience though.
You came from more of like from my understanding, like your musical background is more in the sort of like underground rap stuff and like.
Sort of, yeah. I produced since I was about the same sort of age in school. We had a club called Reed's Digital Music, which was awesome. And big up Al, big up IDM.
Yes, big them all up.
And yeah, I started sort of learning to produce there, and I was kind of tried all sorts of genres. I guess my first sort of thing was kind of garage, but it was kind of like, it was actually a pretty good track, but it's not very, you wouldn't ever play it in a club,
right?
You know, that sort of thing. And then tried out some different genres in hip hop. Then when I was around 15, 16, we got into hip hop and started trying to make hip hop. But I think, yeah, generally I was kind of just a bit of a shit producer, to be honest.
You always are at the start, though. You can't expect to pick it up straight away, right, and be like a fucking savant. Like,
and the irony is, I then went to uni to study music production and sound engineering.
Well, there you go. You any better now, you reckon?
Yes and no. After uni, I took a hiatus, which I guess I'm kind of still on, because I haven't released any music for like two years, probably about, I'd say. Because after uni, it kind of just killed the love and passion for it, because before then you were producing and mixing using intuition and just like what sounded right and what you thought was good. And then after it was like, oh, you need to think about, you know, all these compression levels and phasing and all that sort of stuff. And I don't know, I've forgotten it all already, but it took kind of the fun out of it. And I was like, yeah, I don't really like this. And I knew so many other people that were really good. I was like, I'll leave it to these guys, and then I'm going to focus on my other thing, which is what I think I'm good at the moment, which is like the interviewing and the radio stuff.
So interesting that like learning more about it in a technical sense makes you think like I fucking don't really want to put as much time into this. Yeah,
and I was always kind of trying to be like a sound engineer or like a recording engineer, studio engineer.
So that's where all the techie stuff comes in, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of the mixing desk stuff and mixing and recording stuff, which I do really enjoy, but that's also a very difficult area to get into. And I think quite quickly in the first year after uni of, you know, applying for jobs and constantly being told, you know, you don't have enough experience doing this or doing that, I'm sure you feel the same, that it's very easy to lose
big time
belief in that as a viable career.
What was the scene saying when you grew up in Cardiff?
The scene,
like when you obviously you were younger, so you weren't sort of moving within any sort of scene, right? But did you get a sense that there was an active like musical city? Yes,
I think so. Especially again in the teenage years. My closest friend Dave, he's got an older brother, and they've got a big group of mates, and they're kind of like second brothers to Dave, because they're around quite a lot all the time anyway, and they were really into drum and bass, which kind of got me into that as well. That's why I used to mix a lot of D&B, and yeah, they used to go to a club called Undertone in Cardiff. There was a night called Aperture, and they would go there, and they would like DJ there as well. They were like they were like resident DJs at the Aperture club night.
Is that still around? Still happening?
No, Undertone is closed down as well now, which is a shame. And yeah, so I was aware of it, but obviously I was never kind of within it. And then apart from that, I wasn't really too aware of what else was going on, especially after the record shop called Catapult 100% Records, which was like a vinyl record store in Cardiff, which is actually where I learned to DJ.
Really?
And like, because my mum knew the owners, and they had a DJ course, and
nepotism. There it is. it's everywhere, mate.
And they let me in. You had to be 16, I think, to do it. But I was I was like 14, and they were like, "Oh, come on, you can do it. Why not? You can come and do this." And then I think after that, they were like, "Oh yeah," they actually lowered the age because they were like, "Why not get young people doing it?" But that shut down, which is, I think, has left a kind of a big hole in the Cardiff, at least underground dance music community, because that was a real hub for, people buying buying vinyls and, just like a community around that. And they obviously used to put on events and stuff as well. So I think that left a big hole. It's actually the record shop, in Human Traffic.
Yeah.
Or is it Human Traffic or Human Trafficking?
The film Human Traffic.
Yeah. When he's like, "Got any jungle in?"
Yes,
That's in Catapult Records.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think that was the exact store where they were when I was there, but it was the same business.
Yeah. So interesting. Like, record stores used to be like such a hub, didn't they, for that sort of thing, and like such like a meeting place. It would have been like so good to have been around there and have that sort of active community there. Like, do you feel like there's like a replacement for that now, even if it's like a physical space? Like a virtual space, or like or maybe a physical space. I'm not sure, because is there a place where people can go and enjoy that sort of shared passion in the same way, right? In that sort of community sense, where
possibly like the community radio, I would say. I mean, it's not quite the same because you kind of go there for your slot, and then you maybe hang around a bit after, and the people before and after your show, but. Maybe that would be kind of the closest thing.
That's an interesting point, actually.
Or like club nights, I guess. If you go regularly, maybe, and there's regular club nights that are good, and you go to all of them, I guess it could act as that. But I don't think so. I don't think so. What do you think?
Yeah, I hadn't considered the community radio angle, but that is really interesting, because I know, with stations I've been on in the past, like I've definitely hung around for I'll probably outstay my welcome at quite a few of them, like just after my show, just hanging out. And there is an element of that to where it is like a secluded space where everyone who is there is really into the music.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd probably say that, to be fair. That's really interesting.
I guess it's quite a good one as well, because you're not expected to buy anything. Whereas if you're hanging around in a vinyl shop for 5 hours, then you probably should buy
That's
something.
true, actually. Is that, I never considered that angle. Like, you go in there and you're hanging out, and then like the guy behind the counter is like looking at you funny. Is like, you gonna fucking buy something or what, mate?
I do still like going to record stores from now and again. More recently as well, I've been going in my recent interviews. I've been kind of buying people a gift, which I did once, and then was like, "Oh, this is fun." And now it's like, well, I can't really stop, because if they know I get people gifts and then I don't get them like a CD,
the first person you stop buying the gift for is going to get offended.
Yeah, exactly. So I've kind of mostly for CDs, because it's cheaper.
I bought you this like double LP vinyl. It's £35.
Yeah, no chance. Maybe I'm buying the £1 to £2 CDs.
Bargain bin, mate. Yeah.
But no, they're still pretty good. And if you get talking to the people in there, they love to chat still, because I think maybe especially some of the older guys, maybe who like maybe own it, they might remember a time in the past when it was more of a hub for community and there was more people going in, and now maybe they feel like they're missing that. Yeah,
no, I definitely think that. Yeah, I mean, it's all old heads, isn't it? Like, if I can, like, they were the guys that were in the record shop before, right? And now they're behind the counter, I guess. Okay, so when did you move to Bristol? Like, because you were in Cardiff, you grew up in Cardiff, you moved to Bristol. what, for university, I suppose?
Yeah, for uni, yeah.
So
About 5 years ago.
Okay, nice,
I think,
nice.
Well, it's 2024.
Yeah.
And I came to uni in 6 years ago. I came to uni in 2018.
Oh, nice. Me too.
So yeah, six years. Wow, time goes by.
It does. And were you already doing like interviews and stuff then, or?
No,
Okay.
no. I think I'd done maybe one or two on my old radio show, but they were not very good, and I don't think it was something I ever really considered.
Fuck, I should have done a Joe Valek and like dug them out and like started quoting them to you.
There is one. I think it's unlisted on YouTube. So if anyone did manage to find that would be crazy. It's funny though. It's really not very good. It's like, well, I was interviewing my mate from school called Logan, who's now like a professional surfer.
Nice.
I was interviewing him about surfing, but I had done like no prep, and I didn't really know what I was doing. And my mum was obviously in the studio, and she was like, you can hear her like whispering like, question. I'm like, oh yeah, so what about this thing? And then I say wicked like 15,000 times. I'm like, oh, wicked. Yeah. That's wicked, bro. Yeah. Anyway, anything else?
Yeah. Anything else you want to say?
7-minute train wreck, but we got to start somewhere, you know?
I feel like I fall victim to that sometimes because, like, I mean, I'll be the first to admit that I do like little to no preparation for any of my podcasts, which is fucking brutal. And I wish I did more, but the preparation thing is something that is like super interesting to me because you clearly put the fucking work in, right, when you're preparing for these interviews. What do you have like a list of? Like, do you follow the same process each time when like doing a deep dive, or?
Depends. It really depends, but a lot of the time, yes. I mean, this isn't really a secret, but everything.
I was gonna say, a magician never reveals a secret.
No, I wouldn't say it's really a secret, but everything that I find is all publicly available online.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of deep diving through old stuff, and it does take time, to be honest. It can take. It really depends on how much good information I can find quickly, I guess. Yeah. I'd say usually it takes like 2 to 4 hours, maybe.
Okay.
No, maybe I'd say about maybe 2 hours to 3 hours of researching, maybe, and making notes, and then maybe like an hour to perfect the questions, you know.
Yeah, right.
And then there's also the element of like trying to learn the questions, because I write them on my laptop and then I write them by hand in my book. Yeah. And I've started like practicing them in front of the mirror to try and minimize like looking down at the book, which really does make a difference. Yeah. But you do feel like a bit of a twat standing in your bedroom like, so tell me about this time when you were 12 and you know this thing happened. And then my girlfriend pokes her head in like,
what the fuck
what
is going on there?
Like, oh, don't worry. But it does make a difference. So yeah, I'd say it does put a lot of it does take a lot of time, but it definitely pays off.
So what, you just like, I guess you're just like trolling like Reddit and like all these things, and like
just trying to find as much like their social media, YouTube, Reddit, or like, especially if they're bigger, then Reddit's really good as well, because you can find like threads about them that they have no like say in. I guess if they're smaller, then you can't really do that. But like for example, Manga Saint Hilaire, when I interviewed him, he had like a Reddit Ask Me Anything, and I found out, I was like, this is gold. This is exactly what I needed. But I also try not to rinse one resource too much. So I think like with the Reddit Ask Me Anything, I think I only actually asked one question that was from that, because I didn't want him to think I just found that and base my whole interview off that thing. So like if I find something good on their Twitter account, let's say, that they no longer use for the last 7 years, then I'll try and just keep one thing off there, so they don't think I've just stalked their entire Twitter account, even though I have. Yeah. I just picked the best thing I found on there.
That's amazing. Who's like, you've had some serious names that you've interviewed, right? Like you have Manga,
fairly.
Jams.
Jams was cool, yeah. Jams was sick.
And
his partner, I think they're still together, Paroli as well.
Brazilian
DJ.
Yeah. How do you do you just sort of go up to them and say, "Oh, can I interview you?" Or is it like a prearranged thing?
It's usually prearranged. Yeah. I message them on Instagram beforehand and just be like, "Yeah, I'm going to be at this event. I want to do this. Can we do it?" And most of the time, I usually write this long like message, and they just reply like,
Yeah. KG.
Yeah, see you there, G. It's like, cool. All right. And I send more information and they just like heart the message. It's like, cool. I'm probably saying too much, but it's good to let them know what's going to happen, I think.
Yeah.
I hate it when they get there and then they're like, oh, so where is this going? What is it for? And it's like, oh, yeah, probably should have told you that actually. Like, that I'm independent and it's not, it's not for like any kind of publication. Because I think sometimes people think, oh, is this going to be on like a, like a news website or in a magazine, or is it going to be on Vice? I don't know. Yeah. So I try and give them as much info as I can, and I need to get into emailing more. I always say this, and then I never actually do it. But
why?
I need to reach out. I suppose if you're going for bigger artists, you need to go for their manager, rather than the actual direct link to them. So I did Z Bias recently, and
really? It's not up yet, is it, that one?
No, it is ready. It's been ages, but I just been kind of slacking. I hate sitting on them, but sometimes I quite like sitting on them for a while, and then just like, here it is. No, we did that, and the event company or the events night asked me, did I want to come along to do interviews, and then they reached out to Zed's manager. And then event came back to me and said, yes, he's keen. So I didn't actually speak to Zed Bias.
Interesting.
I think maybe I did message him before the night, but I don't know if he even saw it. And then when I turned up, I saw him. I was like, oh, yeah, let's do this.
Was that when he did Crofters of Old Boy?
Yeah.
How was that?
Great.
That's a big one.
It was a good event. That was a really good event, actually. They played their set was really good. And it was kind of busy as well, which I've been to a couple of nights at Crofters where it's not been that busy. Yeah,
I've certainly thrown a couple of nights at Crofters that haven't been that busy.
And the thing is, I always remember like years ago that Crofters was like
absolutely rammed.
Yeah,
right?
It was always packed out, and it was like a guarantee that if you go to Crofters, it's going to be packed out no matter what. And the last like 5 times I've been there, it's been like way more enjoyable because you can actually like move and not get drinks spilled all over you, but a bit more of a like chilled vibe.
I mean, this is like just like hyper local chat. It's not going to mean anything to anyone who's not in Bristol.
I guess the same thing could possibly, they might be able to apply it to their own clubs. Like there's a whole, there's all this talk of the club scenes and rave scene dying. So,
yeah, true.
I guess what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean,
as someone who runs events as well.
This is what I was just saying before. It's like with running events, like when I first started doing it, I felt like there was much lower risk in terms of you had to maybe put less money in, therefore you had to maybe sell less tickets to break even or whatever. But I think there's a lot of factors now. I think there's like, DJ fees are increasing like pretty rapidly, obviously because of the rising cost of living, etc. And there's like a load of other factors that are sort of exacerbating that, and that's making it harder. And I also think that people's spending habits are changing because of cost of living, right? So people are not willing to spend as much on a night out. So you have to price your tickets more aggressively. Yeah. But it all has a knock-on effect, meaning that like it's now essentially impossible to make any money promoting. Like I was saying before we started, like I feel like I just like burn a big pile of money every time I put an event on. Like it's fucking brutal. And I don't really see it changing. I mean, at the minute, it's festival season at the minute, right? There's not necessarily it's not the time for putting on like packed out club nights. But we'll see in the autumn what happens. But I definitely don't see it changing. And even in terms of like what people are wanting to go out to as well, I think that's definitely an interesting one. Like whether or not, because like myself and I imagine you as well, like being a music nerd, like you have things that you fucking love, but just because you love it because you're a music nerd, like the majority of other people don't. Like some of the bookings that you're like most proud of and that you love, sometimes just fucking play to an empty room,
For sure. And I think a lot of club nights are not very true to what they say they're going to play. I feel like there's way less curation around a club night than I always perceived there would have been. Like, especially like, doing some gigs myself. No promoter's ever said to me, you need to play this or you need to play that. Like I've been to events where it's like a 140 night and then half an hour into the headliner set they're just playing Jump Up, and it's like, well, why is the promoter not going up to them and saying, can you play 140 because this is a 140 night? It seems like it's a lot more like, oh, if you go to a dance music night, then expect to hear a bit of garage, a bit of 140, a bit of Jump Up, a bit of hip hop or whatever.
What do you think about that, about the promoter telling the the DJs what to play?
I don't know, because I've never been a promoter, but I kind of always feel like how I interpreted it before, I guess it's sort of changed in the last few years, and also doing some sets myself, I always thought it was a lot more kind of guidance around this, and they would tell you to like stick to the genre that you're supposed to be playing, rather than just playing kind of whatever you want, which is great. And I guess this is all part of the like multi-genre DJ kind of wave that's happening right now, where nobody really wants to just be seen to be able to only play one genre.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh no, I can't just mix 140. Look, I can also do this, and I can do that, and I can mix techno with my 140 and my garage, and then like if I need to, I can play 178. Like I can do it all. It's like, okay, that's great. I'm guilty of this, as I'm sure everyone is, because you need to react to the vibe as well in the room. But I think there is still a big merit in sticking true to your genre.
Yeah, there is definitely a surge in multi-genreness, right? Like most of the new DJs, look how fucking old man I sound. Most like DJs that are like bubbling through at the minute and like coming up, I would say, are definitely not in one genre specific bracket. Do you also think that's got something to do with like DJing and like dance music becoming one, more accessible, right? In terms of, the powers of social media and the powers of like self-marketing allow yourself to really give yourself more of a platform in a way that you maybe weren't able to 25 years ago. And two, it's just become way more popular, right? So more people are now aware of the genre. Like, do you think that has something to do with the fact that the lines between genres are becoming more blurred?
I think so, yeah. I think definitely more people are doing it. Like DJ equipment's more accessible, like you say.
Still fucking expensive.
But you can do it, or you can go to private studios and you can learn to mix without even owning decks. And for sure, I think so. And possibly people's attention spans and it's all connected, it's all connected, man. But like it kind of is.
Put your tinfoil hat on.
People like things that are faster. People probably don't want to listen to an entire set of one tempo because they're gonna get bored. And as a DJ,
but they didn't used to though. That's the thing, isn't it? They didn't used to get bored.
Well, I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, yeah, I mean, neither do I. So this is like, but you hear about things being very different in terms of the audience reception to stuff. I've read some things about like even like things you wouldn't even expect would have a massive impact, like the indoor smoking ban.
Oh
yeah,
like,
when that happened, it meant that
people just stand in the smoking area now most of the night.
Exactly.
I played a set the other night. I was opening and I played to the sound engineers, two of them, and like a couple people came in for a few minutes and then go out, and it's like, but then as soon as the set started, like 20 people came in or 30 people. I was like, where were you all? Why were you all just smoking? There was music already on that you've paid to see, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. I quite like playing to no one because you can definitely experiment more in a club setting when there's no one. There's actually no one there. It's like, well, let me try. I think I mixed Oppadan into Charlie XCX, which I'd never done. I was like, oh, these are the same tempos. Let's see how that goes. I was like, that actually went kind of hard, which I would never have done if there was 40 people in the room. Yeah, probably I would have just stuck to mixing normally, but I can't remember. I feel like I'm on a tangent now.
No, you're fine. I think, I guess the point I'm trying to make is that like people's like the experience of a night out is changing quite a lot, right? And I think because the audiences are changing and because people like, is that like I hate just blaming everything on social media, but like it kind of feels like
I think it is. I think it's social media and, like you said, money. Like I might buy a pint when I'm out or two. Yeah. Whereas when I was a student, we used to go out, we used to get mash up, like drink the bar dry, not literally, but like you'd spend like 50, 60 quid on a night out, and you'd go, oh, I shouldn't have spent all that money, but it wouldn't be the end of the world. Whereas now, if I spent like that much on a night out, I'd be like, God damn it, that was absolutely stupid. And I haven't done that for years. So like if I spend 20 quid now, I'm like, all right, that was a big night out.
Beans for tea.
Yeah. But I think that, people aren't drinking as much. People aren't taking as many drugs. I don't think. Hard to say really, because I'm not in that scene like anymore. So it's like I don't really know if people are still. I think people are still taking drugs, obviously, but it doesn't seem like as many people are when you go out. You don't see as many people just off their nut on a random Tuesday as you used to.
Yeah, I think there's a more healthy. People have more of like a visibility of like the health conscious side of it, right? Like people are aware, especially when it comes to like the mental health. There you go.
Nice.
Fucking mate. It's almost like every single episode I do, there's like some technical problem.
That's the way it goes, though. That's the way it goes.
Microsoft trying to take me down, bro. Fucking hell. What was I saying? So we'll talk about mental health and social media, etc. But I wanted to sort of transfer it more to like how you see yourself and your interviews and your, I guess for lack of a better word, content, like fitting in that social media sort of sphere, because like your interviews are for the most part more long form, right? There's like a longer version like online, which obviously I mean I have a similar style like in terms of length, but you cut them down, right? Is that you that cuts them, or do you have someone that does it for you?
So the YouTube videos or
so
the
like
clips?
the shortened clips?
Yeah,
that
so
you
the
post.
shortened clips. It really depends. Torn, one of my videographers, he does make the clips for me, and he puts the subtitles on, which is nice because he's like really trying to be a videographer, so he's like well into like just doing it all, which is sick. And then Paris doesn't, which is fine because I've never asked him to, and then which is cool as well because then I do it myself, just on my. What did I use? DaVinci Resolve.
Come on. Is that a free one?
Yeah.
I need to check that out.
It's good. It's really
I'm
good.
literally paying through the nose for Adobe and like just fucking
it's actually good. It can do everything that you possibly need, you know,
God,
I would say.
Switch, I think.
And I just do that and then bang them on TikTok, bang them on Instagram. They don't always, like in terms of where they sit, I think this is definitely something I'm still like kind of working out. And I still feel like, although I really like how they are, I still kind of feel like they're not at their final form or their peak of what they could be. So like you mentioned Nardwuar earlier, and you know I'm always batting off the Nardwuar allegations, like, oh, is this Nardwuar? Is this Nardwuar?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
I like it. I'm very happy about it. And actually, it's different because you're kind of citing him as an inspiration rather than claiming that I am him, which is cool.
Who's claiming that you are him?
A lot of people comment on like YouTube videos like, oh, is this the UK's Nardwuar? Which I like. I appreciate that because he's sick. And
it's high praise, I would say.
There is a big like inspo from there, from him. But also Sean Evans, who does Hot Ones. He's sick, and I kind of take a lot of inspiration from him in the way he asks questions. Like
I can see that actually.
It's Nardwuar style, and with Sean Edwards sort of style questions. Is that his name?
Sean Evans.
Sorry, Sean Evans.
If he's listening, mate, he's gonna be fucking fuming.
No,
you're never gonna get on Hot Ones.
But like Hot Ones that's a great concept, you know, and it's just it's easy to watch, and you know what to expect. And obviously Amelia Dim Oldenburg as well. Like she's just got a great style, and she's just really funny. And I heard her say that they film about 40 minutes to an hour's worth of content, and they edit it down to like 7 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
And so they're like really brutal on the edit. Like if it's not funny, it's not going in.
Oh my God.
Which is why I say like, I feel like it's not at the final form, because in terms of, same with, I think, is it Barstool Sports, that guy, Caleb? I don't really watch them, but I know that they definitely film more than the 10-minute cut they put out. And I feel like there's a big kind of difference between why theirs performs so well compared to like sort of my like 15-minute video, which is completely uncut, which is awesome. But even Nardwuar, when you watch him, you can tell there's sometimes they have a gift in their hand that you haven't seen him give them, and it's like,
right,
why is that not in there? And it's probably because it wasn't very funny or it wasn't very well received or something, so they cut it out. And the concepts as well. The concepts are great. Like First We Feast and the Amelia Dim Oldenburg Chicken Shop Day. It's just like it's great and it's funny. And there's I think definitely down the line will probably change into something a bit more like that if I want it to be really successful.
I just realised that they're both actually chicken themed as well. So maybe you've got to bring some sort of like chicken element into your interviews.
Yeah. That's
How could you do that? Maybe you could like dress up as like a chicken drumstick or something. I think that would add like an element of class to it.
What do you think of? Do you use TikTok?
I had this exact conversation with someone else the other day. I have an account and I used to post on it more regularly. And the thing is now, like, because I have so many clips from these podcasts, right? Because like, you know, this is like episode 30 now, so I've got like 30 hours of content, right? I have so much like clippable stuff.
Yeah. And
I have like all these clips that I've made on my Google Drive that I post on Instagram, but I just never post to TikTok.
Yeah.
And it just seems like a wasted opportunity there, because I could be like literally like spraying TikTok with content. And
I think you should.
I think that's the way to do it. But
sure.
I just don't. Whether it's because I subconsciously don't want to, whether it's just I genuinely just like forget. Like I don't know.
It's definitely long. I'll give it that, and I waste time on it. I'm very happy to admit that I waste time on TikTok.
What, you a scroller?
I am a bit of a scroller. Yeah, I try not to. I usually do it because funny, actually, part of my job, I work in marketing, and
oh really?
Like part of my job is to scroll on the work TikTok account to engage with other accounts. So like most of the scrolling I do is on there, but I have wasted more time in the past on TikTok.
You have to engage with accounts to get engagement back. Is that how it works?
It's more because we're like building it up from scratch,
right?
So like commenting on other people's posts and stuff is a great way to build a network on there, which is working, which is good.
So that's more like physical network building rather than like you're telling the algorithm to push your stuff more.
Yeah.
Because you're
Whereas I think
with it.
Instagram, I notice as well, I hardly use the feed. I'm going to come back to my original point in a second, but I hardly use the feed, and I hardly like anything. I feel like nobody does. People just use stories.
You're right. Yeah. People don't really like shit anymore, do they?
But I find when you like stuff and comment on stuff, your posts do better.
I've heard this as well, actually, and like
which is painful because I don't want to scroll the feed.
And like sometimes I'll be like, right, fine, I'm gonna spend 5 minutes going down and liking stuff, and while I'm doing it, I'm like, why the fuck am I doing this shit? Like,
but it used to be way easier to do that as well, though, because I feel like the content was better back in the day. People used to like what I see now is just usually it's kind of like a couple of people who post constantly, like Eddie Abu or Jeremy Fragrance. I
get those two.
They're always on the top of my feed.
Yeah, all
because
the
they post like 10 videos a day. That's why they're always on the top of the feed.
Fish 56 Octagon guy as well.
He's cool though. I
like it's
him.
Fucking it's just that is what it is, isn't it? It's like the relentless posting is what you need, but like.
So then I don't scroll because I see that at the top of my feed. I'm like, oh, fuck this.
Yeah.
I just close the app or look at the first 3 stories and then see an ad and think, oh, fuck this. I'm off the app. Anyway, the point I was originally going to make, why I asked you about TikTok, was going back to your question before about where I sit in content, is that on Instagram, there's a lot of podcast clips, so you should definitely post. But that's an art in itself about picking the right clip and making it like funny or engaging and stuff. But there's so much of this like I think I see it as like cheap content of like interviewing people in public, like random people, or like it's happened to us in Norwich. Someone came up to us and they were like, "Oh, have you got any change to donate to my friend's dog who needs a hip replacement? They need to raise 20,000 or something." And I could see him wearing a mic, and I was like, this guy fucking recording me. And I was like, nah. And I turned around and there was like a harem of people all like filming. I was like, oh, fuck's sake, can you like not, obviously you can't just go around filming people. It's so annoying. But in terms of like the public interviews, I see it a lot at club nights, and I just think it's such a cop out of like taking advantage of steaming people or people that maybe don't know what's exactly going on, or you might ask them like for a secret and then they reveal a secret about their life or something for a TikTok video that they probably don't even get paid for, and that could mess up their life. Or I don't know, I don't like it. So in terms of that, I try to really stay out of that. I'm
so glad that you actually brought that up, because like I think that is, it's difficult sometimes because like the word content is such a broad umbrella, right? Like the stuff that you make and like the public interviews asking smashed people to tell me what their darkest secret is can get lumped into the same thing sometimes, which is why, going back to like the start of this episode where I said how your stuff really stands out in a different way, yet somehow it sits on the same platform, and like the algorithm will probably push your stuff to the same people it's pushing the other stuff to. I just think it's so interesting you described it as cheap content, and I definitely agree with you.
But
in that
it
respect.
gets views.
But this is the thing, isn't
And like
it?
sometimes I catch myself watching these, like that is funny, but I don't agree with it. But it is funny actually, you know. Sometimes.
Do you ever get the urge to just say fuck it? I'm gonna start.
I have had this thought a few times, but I'm actually kind of quite shy person as well. Not shy, but like I'm not that extroverted enough to go up to Randy's in the street and be like, whatever you would, what's your biggest fashion ick, or I don't know.
I hate these videos so much, bro. Oh my god.
Same, and it's always some twat in it as well. It's just like, yeah. Nike Sambas, bro. I hate Nike Sambas, man. That's so washed. And they're filming it in like
Fella's got a
Exeter or
point.
something.
Fella's got a point.
Yeah. He probably does.
Also, isn't it Adidas Sambas, not Nike Sambas?
Did I say Nike Sambas?
Yeah,
No,
so.
there we go. Shows about my fashion taste, doesn't it? But yeah, I think this is probably a good time to now talk about the Anime Con, because
I was just about to.
I was kind of worried about when I did that it might be perceived as that kind of content.
Yeah.
But I tried really hard to make it like it is kind of funny.
Yeah.
And we did sort of take the piss a bit, but we tried really hard not to take the piss out of people and try and like if something's objectively funny, you can kind of keep it in without it. Like I'm not taking the piss out of them. If they do something funny, then that's kind of on them.
Yes. Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think it's
and we did take a lot of stuff out that we thought we think this is kind of funny because we were there.
Yeah.
But actually, I don't want this to come across as like bullying.
Yeah. Well, this is it, isn't it? I think, like, because you are there. Would you say in a journalistic capacity, right? You were asking questions. You weren't just there, like standing outside and going, like, look at these guys.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think there's a line with that sort of thing, isn't there? I completely agree. But what? Because I didn't even know Bristol had an anime convention.
I think it's got 2.
Does it?
Yeah, 2 every year. I think.
Fucking hell! Where was it? I can.
This was at the Mercure Grand in the centre.
Yeah. Did you partake off camera, or were you just on job?
I was kind of just on job.
Yeah.
We got press passes, which was sick.
Nice.
Didn't have to pay. Went in. We kind of with Lang, my friend Lang, who's out in Australia. We miss you, Lang. But he's having a great time. Bit jealous. And we just went in, and I had a list of questions, and was just like, I'm gonna just sort of see how it goes, speak to a few people, and then over the day, we kind of like wanted to build a kind of a theme or a narrative, throughout the weekend, and find some things that we thought would be a good kind of story, perhaps.
Nice, yeah.
So after the first couple of conversations, there was some questions which I returned to with most of the people to build a theme around it, which was really useful. And yeah, it was great fun. I don't exactly know what I learned from it, apart from that there's a big scene of this stuff in Bristol, and that it's really fun, actually, and not kind of what people might have thought it would be, of a bit of a sweaty fest. And it really wasn't that. It was actually a lot of people just engaging in their passion in a safe space.
What was the reception like? Were people open to sort of being interviewed and stuff, or?
Yeah, most people. And I'd say we chose people that looked like they would be happy to talk. You know,
the guy in the Among Us costume, that is such a good.
That was funny.
The big fucking looks like he's like being like what's the word when you're like, oh fuck,
like quarantine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
To be fair, I will say that is one guy who we did kind of murk his interview, because it was just really funny. Like the whole interview, he was just giving like 1-word answers, and it was like, if we edit this really like quickly, it will be like twice as funny.
Yeah.
Really good. He was a cool guy, and then I also really liked. I liked everyone we spoke to. They were all really interesting, and everybody had something cool to say. The part when the guy hit, I felt quite guilty about this. The guy with the lightsaber hit some random guy on the street in the face. I felt guilty because that was kind of our fault, because we said, "Oh, go and talk to that other Jedi and have a duel." So, and then he like smashed some random in the face. It was like, I was like, I had dollar signs in my eyes when that happened, but at the same time I was like, damn, this is...
Somebody clip that,
Yeah,
clip
literally. Did you get that?
Do it again.
But no, it was really great. And then that has kind of inspired the Love Saves the Day and Forwards Festivals videos as well, which then I kind of had a bit more of a idea of how I should handle that, and I chose one question I would ask everyone, which was really good fun as well, and that was a great way to meet some different kind of artists. A lot of them were underground, but that's kind of what I love doing as well, giving people like an opportunity to speak. But that was great as well, and I missed some great opportunities there. Like Peary was walking around out off of Peary and Tommy with a big highway of people. And
at the anime convention?
No, this is she probably would love that, to be fair. This is what's the festival? Love Saves, which had a big group of people, and I was kind of too shy to go and say hello, because a lot of people, I feel like her friends were there to protect her, which is valid. And DWE, met him as well, but I'd lost my camera guy. So I was like, if I could find the camera guy, do you want to chat? He was like, yeah. It's like, give me 2 minutes, ringing him up, and his phone was dead. I was like, came back, I was like, well, I don't know where he's gone. Same with Sir Spyro, who was there with him. They were both like, yeah, we would be well keen for this. And I was like, should I just get them to film it on my phone? And I was like, nah, you've got to maintain the quality.
You think so? That's interesting. You wouldn't sacrifice a bit of quality for like the opportunity of sort of just being in a moment and just like capitalizing on that.
I did consider it, but then also I couldn't just ask some random to hold my my phone,
this is true.
And trust that
you're going to get a selfie camera and go, I'm here with the double.
Which I did also consider that, but I also think there's always another opportunity for these things.
Yeah, 100%. You're right.
People are still around; they're not dead.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Do you want to do more of those like sort of, I guess like in a way the anime convention one felt a bit like Channel 5, like all gas no breaks, that sort of thing.
That was actually a big inspo for that. But a little bit more tame, I think.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, I definitely do want to do more like docu style things.
Exactly.
Almost mock you, docu, depends.
Kind of,
really.
just like shining a light on like a sort of subculture, right? Almost like a bit like Louis Theroux as well, that sort of thing, but like with it being less about you and more about the actual thing that's happening, right?
Yeah, and I really want to go to the Elvis convention in Porthcawl in Wales to do this.
That would be amazing.
It always falls on a weekend, which is like right at the end of September, which is right near my birthday, and I'm usually doing something. So last year I couldn't go, this year I couldn't go, but next year I might go there, because that would just be funny, just to speak to like 100 Elvises.
That'd be so sick. Oh my god, even there was one.
Oh, Welsh Elvises, like
Welvis,
yeah, for sure. And I am filming a documentary film thing. I don't know, about my friend who got really into like long distance running.
Oh yeah,
like ultra marathons and stuff. And I've done a couple of trips with him at like events, and trying to been filming him, which is kind of something else, because I'm making that kind of on my own. I'm not in it, and I kind of need to do more filming of that rather than just at events. But we've done an interview, and it's being built slowly, which is also fun to have a long project where I don't need to rush it and feel like I need to get it out ASAP. So people can see it. It's more like something I'm trying to build over like a year or two, which is then really exciting, because my camera skills have drastically improved as well. The first clip that we filmed probably looks shit, and then now I know how to use my camera, it looks a lot better. And I think I'll probably learn how to use it even better.
Yeah, this is it. It's all learning, isn't it?
So which will be an interesting journey to watch my skills develop throughout the movie.
Did you think that you'd sort of go on this more like journalistic tangent? Because it seems like from like you told me like your story of like growing up, you were always very much more on the sort of DJ producer like artist side of things.
Yes and no. I think that one of the problems I've had, I don't know if you can relate to this, is kind of trying to do too many things at once.
Oh my god, yeah. Jesus
Christ. I want to be a
a
radio host, and I want to be a producer and a DJ, and also do this and that, which is kind of a problem, I think, because you can't do too many things. You can't put all your energy into everything. Which has kind of been an issue. So I think maybe I'd always considered, especially like the radio presenting side of things.
True.
but I had never perceived that it would be quite like this. I never really thought of myself as someone who would be on the camera, you know, kind of acting-ish in a way.
Yeah. Do you like how do you find that? Do you feel like you have almost like a persona when you're doing these things?
I don't know exactly if I'd say it's a persona. I would just say it's a bit more, it's just me, but refined. That's why I prepare as well, so I can like, it's always why I prepared, so I know what I'm going to say. And don't like freeze on the spot, which I don't really think I would do these days.
Yeah.
But at least when I started, I was a lot more sort of nervous and shy about doing this sort of thing. But now I'm more used to it. I probably would be fine. But
Yeah.
I just like to have the prep there and
100%.
avoid saying something bad or freezing on the spot.
Have you ever had an experience like that where you said something maybe that you shouldn't have said, or that someone took the wrong way, or?
Not really, I don't think. I think when I interviewed Kibo and I mentioned the about the price of Magnum drink, and I told him there was a place in Bristol selling it for £8, and he was like, I'm actually enraged at this concept. I'm going to go Super Saiyan, which is really funny. And then he was like, I need a new question. And I was like, shit, that was my last question. I was supposed to end on a good one. Oh, crap. And then I thought of something which calmed the mood. And I know he's a character in himself, so that was all like jokes. But that was probably one of the most tense moments that I've had in terms of someone being like,
having to like think on your feet as well, right?
Yeah.
What's one of the most? It's like hard to choose your favorite, right? So not favorite, but like, what's one of your most memorable interviews? Would you say that you've done?
Let me have a think. I mean, the Kibo one was incredible. That's probably my funniest.
Right.
Like, I'd like them to be more like that. But I guess a lot of that wasn't down to me. That was down to him being funny, and I just kind of laughed at his jokes, and then like that, I eggs them on to be more entertaining and more funny. But I really liked the Old Boy one, which is coming soon, was really good.
I love Max. He's such a
he was just really
so
calm and just like took everything like he loved everything.
Such a legend.
Had some really good deep dives that I found about him.
Did you?
Yeah, which is great.
Any spoilers that you can share?
He was just confused, like, how the hell do you know that I did that? And it's like, well, how the hell do I know anything?
You're a little schemer, man.
I think maybe Love Saves the Day was just one to remember. I just enjoyed being in that vibe, and I would love to do that again. But I also kind of hate festivals. So
do you?
Not hate festivals. It's just kind of long and
in
loud
what sense?
And expensive. And the food is a lot, and you're outside walking around. There's a lot of noise and people who are fucked, and which is great. But I wouldn't want to do it all the time. Like, I thought like Glastonbury would be sick to do it, but then I deeped it and was like, I would love to do that, providing I was in like the media section, and you could have, because you really need places to recharge your equipment, and like take a laptop if you're going for like to stay at a festival, and have somewhere where you can be clean and stuff.
Are you not a fan of that sort of overstimulation?
No, I think
I
wouldn't. I like festivals if I was going to one. If I was going to just enjoy it, I think it would be
right. But I guess you're always working them, aren't you? Trying to get interviews and stuff.
That's what I aim to do. But
are you doing any more festivals this summer? Like
not
interview
this summer.
wise?
I tried to do a couple, but they said budgets were too tight, basically, for like to even give me like press passes.
Really?
Which is fair, because I was trying to go for like smaller ones. Like, because I was like, if they're smaller, then there's more underground artists and more people will speak to me. I've been trying to do the same. I've been reaching out to a few festivals this summer, trying to go, because I did those interviews. Oh, you did the Rinse one? Yeah, that was awesome. I was going to ask you about that.
It was really good fun, man. Like fucking
slow down.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've been reaching out to festivals as well, trying to get that, but I've not heard anything back yet. So I presume it is probably a budget thing. But fingers crossed.
And they probably get bare people asking.
Yeah, probably.
Like so many people trying to do that.
There's only one Joe Valek, mate.
True. I wanted to ask you a question actually, because you're actually a journalist, right? Would you class yourself as an official journalist?
I guess I studied it at university, and then worked for a magazine in Bristol for a couple of years. Maybe didn't do as much journalism there as I would have liked to. I think they sort of realised that I knew how to use social media and sort of moved me more towards the marketing side of things.
Right.
But every opportunity I got to write, I definitely took.
What's the goal? Are you trying to be a writer?
This is something that I'm like sort of wrestling with at the minute, is where I want to take things, because like I don't really just want Belters to be another like record label. Like I sort of want to take it more down the sort of like music media like route. Obviously have the podcast. I want to start getting more written stuff out there, because like I do really, really, really enjoy writing. I've been chatting to this writer recently who's been writing some stuff that I'm thinking about maybe getting them on and sort of helping them and like pushing their stuff, and then maybe doing some of my own stuff. And basically I really want to get more of a documentarian style to things.
Yeah.
Like something like, it's hard because people don't fucking read anymore, do they? Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's true.
Like,
I skim a lot of articles.
Yeah, this is it.
I read the good bits.
But like someone puts like their heart and soul into like 700 words, and someone like reads the top 2 paragraphs and then skims the rest of it, and then just fucking goes back to Instagram.
Read the last paragraph.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that's just the way we engage with media as well. It depends. I think gone are the days of like using websites and going on to like, you know, xyzmagazine.com to read the top 5 articles of the day or whatever. Maybe people do that, but I've never been that kind of person.
Yeah, I say most people don't.
I do like to read books though. Are you a book?
I do, yeah,
reader?
as well, yeah. But I'm more into like sort of like political non-fiction, to be honest with you.
Yeah, for sure. I was reading a lot of non-fiction actually, and then it would take me ages, and then I was like, maybe I just need to read like some fiction it's just more entertaining before bed. And now I've been reading like fiction, and my girlfriend's like, you need to read Game of Thrones next, which is kind of daunting. So like
so fucking many of them.
There's loads of books. But yeah, I mean, non-fiction, geopolitical non-fiction is great for bedtime.
Yeah, that's what they say. Yeah, that's what they say.
It's like the shipping forecast.
Yeah. It will put you to sleep, to be fair, yeah. Yeah, this is it, man. It's like, how do you take it? Because like the journalistic space, the industry is changing rapidly, right? Because people don't want to pay for things anymore. Yeah, everything's available online for free, and also people's like consumer habits are changing in terms of how they engage with content, where they find the content. There's not really an easily accessible place that everyone uses for like written content, like long form written content. Like I can send them to like a blog, or I can send them to like a Substack or something, right? But even then, that's like, you know, that's 2 steps beyond what most people are used to. Yeah. Like, I don't know, like, do you have any advice for me?
I don't know. I guess freelancing.
Yeah.
Find someone I interviewed before, Vanessa, did freelance. She's like in the art scene, and she did freelance writing, and she'd written for some big publications like I want to say Wired maybe, and some other ones that the names escape me now. And she said like she was an art curator running her own curation stuff, and she said she'd do like 5 or 6 articles a year, like guest articles, and that would like sustain her financially from like a lot of the time.
Nice.
Because you get paid a fair bit to do an article on a big publication, and I think she said she would just do that by just like emailing them and being like, here's my portfolio of work, and here's who I've written for, and here's my idea, and do you want me to write an article about this? And they would just say yes or no, and maybe she'd reach out to like 10 of them or something at the time, and then whoever offered the most money, she'd go for that. Which seemed really cool. And
that's so interesting. I need to look at that more.
She probably have quite a good portfolio going already. You've written a fair few articles.
I guess so, yeah. I think as well, like, part of me wants to do it like in-house as well, though. I don't know, like I really want to build something with what I currently have in terms of like being like a hub for like sort of like underground music media. And I think that's definitely something that you're doing as well now, which is sort of what like why I really wanted to like meet you and get you on, because I see you as basically going in the right direction in terms of that. And
platforms are the way forward, I think. Something like I guess like Keep Hush maybe, or First We Feast, like that's where Hot Ones is, but it's not actually just Hot Ones on that channel. I don't know what else they do.
Neither, but they
do lots of other things on there as well. I think that's like or like Boiler Room maybe, that sort of style of thing where it's more than just events, or it's more than just this thing.
I think that's what I'm going for in the long term, but it's just not enough hours in the fucking day, are there? Like...
No way. No way.
Joe, we're at an hour and 5.
Nice.
Let's land this plane.
Let's do it. Was there anything else that you wanted to ask me that I have a tendency to waffle? So
no, mate,
there's
that's
not been
the whole
anything
point.
that I've waffled through.
No, you're
leaving
completely
you
fine.
Unaware of something massive.
No, you're good. I guess like I like to finish it with like looking forward most of the time, like, in terms of what, you know, like what do you have coming up? What are you looking forward to? Like, are you like you mentioned like your product is still very much a working product, right? Like where are you looking to get with it?
Yeah. So I think looking forward in terms of this side of things, I've got some videos that I've been sitting on for way too long that I need to just get out, and they are coming out. Kind of lost my momentum, which happens, and I think that's fine. Over the summer, it tends to happen. Need to get those out, and then I'm not going to say I'm going to go back to the drawing board in this sense, but outside of this stuff, I've been really getting into like exercising, and I told you before as well, doing like triathlon training. And
yeah, you were wearing the funny cycling shoes.
Yeah, I was wearing the shoes on my road bike, which I never thought I'd be that kind of guy in Lycra, but here we go.
You in Lycra up?
No, not now, but I will be when I'm riding. So that's kind of like taking over my free time, which is cool because I quite like the training, and it kind of makes me happy without external validation. Yeah, I feel like the success of like a project depends on how many views and likes and comments it gets.
Such a good point, actually.
And actually, it's like, oh, that was a flop. Well, actually, no, it wasn't. The video was really good. It was just that because only 20 people watched it doesn't mean it was shit.
Fucking alarm. Sorry.
It's all right. I'll just keep going. And then that's making me happy. So I think that'll be, once I've got these videos out, I want to do the triathlon that I've been training for, and then I think I might kind of go a little bit back to the drawing board, maybe change up the style that I'm doing things, maybe actually set up that podcast that I promised I would do, or kind of how brainstorm with exactly how it will be, because I do love doing it at events, and I think I probably will keep doing that as well, but I'm just not sure if something maybe needs to change slightly just to enhance it further. I don't know, but I think I'll know that once I've got these videos out and I've taken a bit of time doing this other thing, which I'm enjoying, and then come back to it with a fresher head later in the year. Because also festival season, there's not many gigs going. Well, there are gigs, but it's autumn and winter is way better for this stuff.
No, I agree. Yeah. It's interesting what you said about sort of summer being a time where you get a bit slack, because I definitely agree with that, and that's made me feel a lot better about the fact that I've been a lazy fuck the last few weeks.
And things take time anyway. You don't need to be so hard on yourself. I feel like you'd be surprised how much people don't actually give a fuck, you know?
Yeah, you're
it's
so
like,
right.
I'm like, oh my God, these videos I've been sitting on these videos for like 2 months, and then I post it, and or I say like, oh, sorry, I've been slack, and no one fucking cares anyway.
Yeah, it's not, people aren't going to the pub and saying like, Joe Valek's not posted a video in 3 weeks.
Yeah, what the hell is Joe Valek doing? That's terrible. Yeah, where's the Belters podcast? Oh my God. Like, these guys have fallen off. No one says that. They're thinking, oh, did you see his most recent video? That was really cool. Yeah. Or that clip that he dropped, or, you know, that podcast was great, or whatever. People think about what's already out rather than what's next, I think. I do the same with music, you know. I don't think, oh, when's Screws' next single going to drop? I'm like, oh, his single was really good. Yeah. If it's been 2 years, I might be like, when's he going to drop? But like, you know, and big artists do that all the time. They take like 2 years, 3 years to release an album.
For example, you said you haven't released a tune in 2 years.
Yeah, that's exactly, with my 5 monthly Spotify listeners, exactly, yeah.
Coming soon, mate, soon.
I do actually have some tunes ready. So maybe that's another thing that I did get into making some tunes, and I've got like 3 or 4 tunes that I think are release worthy. So I probably will drop those at some point. But in like a no pressure kind of, here's my music. Yeah. I'm not going to expect anything from it. I'm just going to put it out because I like the music.
Best ways to do it.
Which is what I always used to do before I was trying to be too serious. So anyway, I think, it's an exciting time, and, you know, going through changes, I guess, which is good. I'm not like 20 anymore. I'm
Mhm.
26 this year. I need to
Woo!
be a grown up, and I am a grown up. And
Come on.
you know, frontal lobe is developing fully.
Developed.
Should be.
Shit.
I think we're nearly there. And haven't, you know, I quit smoking weed last year as well. Like,
Come on.
hard, like completely in. Like the last year has very much been about like, oh, who am I without being blazed 24/7?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm actually like, I like this, I
Yeah,
like that, or
yeah.
I don't like this as much as I thought I did, which is great. And I think that's also allowed. We very much live in a high pressure system in the music industry where if you say you're doing music, then it feels very hard to go back on that. I think people are like, oh, if you do something else, then it just means you failed at this. You failed at being a creative, or you failed at music. I think people should be more open to actually there's more to life than just making bangers, which is sick, but
There's
more,
some
or at least content, you know.
wise words there, sir.
Yeah.
Wise words.
I don't know if you would agree with that.
I'd 100% agree. I think it's always a battle, right? Especially like when you have a lot of other things going on in your life that are taking up more of your energy. For some reason in my head, that if like it can sometimes feel like that those things are somehow worth less because they're not like the grind. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
you know, like I started a new job recently, for example, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm getting a lot out of it, but when I come home and I spend an evening not doing music because I feel fulfilled in my work, somehow that feels like worse.
Which is also part of growing up. That's actually paying you. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, do I want to live on the fucking like £150 a month, like in the label account, or like, yeah, exactly.
And
yeah.
eventually, you know, the label that will turn into 150 grand a month.
Exactly.
One day.
Yeah, one day. Yeah.
But you've got to grind out other things to get there, I think.
Exactly.
You don't get to level 99 RuneScape without being at level 1.
Yeah.
Not that I've ever played RuneScape.
I'm about murking a few fools in that PvP forest. Can't remember the name of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never played.
I've got to be honest with you, I didn't either, but I've seen many
Should have used
memes.
Minecraft as an example. Would have been better, but there
You
we go.
You don't get diamond armor without killing a few cows.
Yeah. Facts. I think that's a good place to end it.
Joe Valek, thank you so much. Boom. I'm so sweaty. Fucking hell.
It's warm in here.
It's so warm.
Thank you for having me on.
Mate, it was a pleasure. That was sick. And thank you for making it to the end of this episode of Chatting Breeze, episode 30. What a long way we've come. If we had one episode for every day of... Let me restart that. If there was an episode for... Let me restart that again. Fucking hell. If we released one episode a day, we could fill the entire month of June. Is that right? 30 days has September, April. Yeah, that's correct. Thanks for listening. I don't really have anything to promote at the minute because it's been a quiet few weeks here at Belters HQ. Yeah. See you in the next episode, I guess. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.